I'm Mike Uyak. I love to try new things, and I've had culinary adventures all around the world, as well as right at home. I've had really wonderful food, as well as some really horrible food. I'd like to share some of my adventures with you, and we'll see if I have what it takes to fix whatever goes wrong. This is Recipe Redemption. Greetings and salutations, Redeemers, and welcome to today's episode of Recipe Redemption. Today, it's going to be arguable as to whether this one is vintage, because it comes from 1981. As of the date of this recording, that was 41 years ago. But my brain still wants to say, no, that's not vintage. Kind of like grunge isn't being played right now on the oldie station. Yeah. So anyway, from the Betty Crocker recipe card collection for the I think it's the quick and easy set of recipe cards, comes chicken livers with crunchy noodles. Creative name. I'm torn because I like chicken livers, and if you cook them properly, they're really quite good. Yes, they're kind of an acquired taste. Yes, they are organ meat, and so some people are just turned off about the whole idea of offal, but whatever. I like them. But this, I don't know. Let's just see.
Okay, since this recipe was intended as a time saver, it's pretty quick and easy. Just in some hot oil, I'm gonna throw in my chicken livers and fry them until they're nice and kind of a deep brown and have that nice little crust on the outside. Something like this. It's still just a little bit pink, and that's fine because this is going to simmer for a while. So I'm bringing some sweet white wine up to a simmer and adding in about 4 tablespoons, or what I'm calling tablespoons anyway, of a beef gravy. Now they actually call for a packet of gravy. I actually made, honest to goodness, gravy. Into this, and once that comes back up to sort of a slow simmer, start adding in a little bit of butter. Go. Once that's finally melted, add in my chicken livers and bring this back up to a simmer for about another 5 minutes, like so, and then add cornstarch slurry. It's about a tablespoon of cornstarch and a little bit of water, and let that simmer on medium-low heat for another minute or two. You want to cook that cornstarch flavor out. And lest we forget, the actual title of this recipe is chicken livers over crunchy noodles. Let's not forget the noodles, shall we? Ah, there they are. Chow mein noodles, and based on my reading of the recipe, you need about a cup per serving, and just spoon your gravy and chicken liver, and I say that in that order specifically, over your chow mein noodles, and probably garnish with parsley.
And here it is. There's like a full cup of those chow mein noodles. And it's pretty much one serving for this, with my 4 ounces of liver and whole bunch of beef gravy. When you look at the recipe, I mean, you'd have a little bit of white wine, some beef gravy, butter, and then it's thickened, and you have salt and pepper as the seasoning. Now, gravy, need I say more? But beef gravy onto chicken livers You're pushing the flavor in a slightly different direction from the livers themselves. Yes, they tend to be a little meatier than your breast of chicken. The white meat. The organ meats are going to taste a little bit more like red meat by virtue of the fact that they tend to be a little bloodier. But all that being said, putting I should have brought a knife. But putting beef gravy onto chicken livers just seems like you're altering the flavor that could be appreciated on its own. Well, here we go. Crunchy. As expected. Really, the chow mein noodles were always intended in this form to be sort of a garnish, a topping for something, and not a whole bed of it like this. You were supposed to get like a little bit in each bite to offer just that extra bit of crunch to something that otherwise might be stir-fried to death. The flavor's okay. Like I said, I like chicken livers, and let's be honest, I like gravy. So, but I don't know if it really celebrates either one. They kind of compete. Because the chicken livers, it's one of those philosophical things. If you're going to bother to put an ingredient in, and particularly it is the title ingredient of this dish, then you want it to taste at least somewhat like that ingredient. The sort of minerality that comes with organ meats is kind of being covered up by the beef gravy. And maybe that was the point. It was supposed to be trying to mask those aspects of the dish that might be a turnoff to mainstream early 1980s diners or, families that you might serve this to. But I think if you're going to have chicken livers, have chicken livers. It should actually taste like that. And I have to say that the chow mein noodles are really distracting because if there's a little bit of a textural contrast, that's a good thing. It gives you a little something extra to sort of think about and chew through. But when the contrast is so extreme, where you have these soft chicken livers that have just barely firmed up, they're just barely fully cooked through without becoming kind of grainy. So they're actually perfect. And of course, the squishiness of the sauce with these really hard chow mein noodles. The difference is so great that it's almost as if I've tried to take a bite of two things at the same time, rather than as a cohesive dish. I think if you toned down the crunchiness a little bit, it would help. I think I know how to do that. Let me try something.
So in my saucepan here, I have half a pound of chicken livers, half an onion, a couple cloves of garlic, about a teaspoon of thyme, 2 bay leaves, some salt, and some pepper. I'm just going to bring this up to a boil and turn it down, simmer it for about 5 minutes. Then pick out the bay leaves, let it cool just for a few minutes, and then with a slotted spoon, start spooning all the other ingredients into my food processor. And yes, this will take a little bit, but once it's in there, take them for a spin. And you don't need to process it uh, too fine just yet. It can be a little chunky. But with the processor running, I'm going to add 1.5 sticks of butter. Yeah, it's a lot of butter, but we're not making health food here. And just add them in 1 or 2 pats at a time to make sure that it fully incorporates. It helps that this is still warm, so the butter will actually melt into it as well. And just as it becomes smooth, a couple ounces of cognac. A good brandy will work too. And once it's all blended up and smooth, pouring into a ramekin, or 2 in this case, cover with plastic wrap and refrigerate for at least 2 hours, preferably overnight. Now yeah, I just made chicken liver pate, so what does that have to do with my redemption? Well, here comes the crunchy element. I'm spooning a little bit of my chicken liver pate into this gyoza wrapper. Now, I would prefer to have had pot sticker wrappers, the square ones, for this particular application, but this is what I had on hand, and I didn't want to make a special trip to the store for this idea. And you can see I'm pinching it in the middle and then bringing up the other quadrants so that I get a 4-point star configuration type thing, and just pinching all those edges together after wetting them, make sure they seal really nicely, and kind of pat down so it sort of flattens out on the bottom. There, something like that. And just lather, rinse, and repeat for as many of these as you want to make. And just plop them down into some hot oil and fry until golden brown and delicious.
And here it is, chicken liver pate, Rangoon. A little bit of crispiness from the fried wonton shell, but nothing near as, not quite tooth-breaking, but toothsome as the chow mein noodles that we had with the chicken liver. And the creaminess of the filling in the center should be really quite a nice contrast. I'm hoping this isn't going to burn the crap out of me. But That's quite nice. I would probably amp up the flavors of the pate a little bit. Frying this kind of, continued the cooking on the chicken livers, but also adds that just oily fried flavor to this. The pate is a little bit muted. Still quite tasty. Taste the garlic and onion. Taste the herbal elements and that creamy but definitely sort of minerally iron rich organy flavor from the chicken liver really comes through. This is delightful. Like I said, I like chicken liver anyway, so this isn't that great of a leap for me. I know it might be a little challenging for some people, but this is really quite tasty, and it's not that difficult. Making the pate, you need to do ahead of time. Refrigerate for at least 2 hours, preferably overnight, just so it actually sets up and it's a little easier to handle. But actual working time, maybe a half hour to make this, maybe 40 minutes. And it's delicious. It's a lot better than just serving a bunch of fried chicken livers in gravy, in beef gravy, and putting them on top of chow mein noodles. It's more satisfying. It's you less of a risk of cutting your gums, which I did on those chow mein noodles. And ultimately, I think tastier, just because you really taste the chicken livers, which I think again is still the point. If they are the title ingredient of your dish, it's probably pretty important that you actually taste that ingredient. So it should taste like chicken livers and not like everything else. Cover it up with beef gravy and distract you with big sticks poking into your gums. So, what do you think? Anything else I could have done with this? There were other directions that I think I could have gone, but didn't. I might explore that in a future video. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell down below for the notifications for when I post new videos. And otherwise, just like to thank you for watching. And I'll see you here again next time on Recipe Redemption. Bye now.